I'm tired of having fake conversations, so we just have to say this is gaslighting, right? So this guy was convicted by a jury in a state court. So no matter what Donald Trump decides to do, if he issues this federal pardon, he's going to sit in jail. So what's the purpose of it? Why would you go down this line, reopen this wound when it's not going to have any impact whatsoever?
You know, I don't think they know. I mean, you're 100%. What he says is absolutely correct. It's a silly conversation. So the trial we all watched on TV was the state court trial. Right. The way Donald Trump does not, or any president, doesn't have the power to pardon anyone in the state court. Like, he can't pardon himself, and only the governor of the state can do that. It's the same thing here. So hypothetically, if Trump did pardon him, what happened was after he gets convicted, he then goes into federal court on civil rights violation, and he pleads guilty to 20 years. So, but it runs concurrently at the same time. So if Trump pardons him,
serving the same sentence.
He's still standing.
And what he's doing is, so in the state court case, he was found guilty by a jury.
Correct.
In federal court, he pled guilty. So he acknowledged and accepted responsibility. So you're going to pardon him despite the fact that he accepted responsibility for something, obviously saying he did it because you have to tell a judge and confirm that you're accepting this plea for a reason, and there's not going to be any impact whatsoever. So other than to gaslight, other than to reopen these wounds, what's the purpose? Why are we having this conversation? Why is Elon Musk joining in and kind of making this a bigger issue?
I'll tell you why. I mean, quite honestly, because we've gotten to a point where I think they want to incite violence. They want to incite protests so that they have an excuse to invoke what Donald Trump wanted to invoke last time, but was not allowed to do by some members of his cabinet, which is to invoke the Insurrection Act and take more power. And I'm sorry, I know that sounds cuckoo, for Cocoa Puffs, except that we know he tried to do that last time and was stopped by people in his own cabinet. And so this is to create dissension. This is to create animosity. This is to create protests in the streets so that he can go out there and put a stop to it and basically do what he was not allowed to do last time. And take even more power.
I think we can't avoid the racial message.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
That is the being sent, the dog whistle. And I think it's a lot about dividing people, otherizing people, and just having this conversation is about that. The way that they're treating Latino immigrants, it's about that. It's about making certain white people feel better, more powerful than Black people, Latino people, immigrants, you name it. But, find the group that you can define as
quickly, I spoke with the brother of George Floyd, Flanice Floyd, who was there on the ground for a very long time. And I just wanted to read a statement. In talking to him, I covered this from the very beginning to the very end, stayed in Minneapolis for about a year and followed the trial and followed the case and was there during the protest. So here's what George Floyd's brother said to me. He said, if the president were to do this, it would hurt us. It is so personal. We saw our brother tortured to death. My niece would have to see him walk freely while her dad is in the ground. If he does this, it will set America back 400 years. The ones pushing for this are trying to remove any power that Black Americans have to get justice. It is disgusting. Why would you do this? Why would you re-injure this family and America? So why is Musk pushing this
Look, I think the good news here is, from my understanding, no one at the White House is entertaining this. There isn't any political advantages strategically for the president to even consider such a thing. Sometimes stuff on social media...
Elon Musk is in the White House.
Well, sometimes I think what we see on social media, Sarah, if I'm just being frank, probably should be ignored. I just got to be honest. I think this guy has had his attorneys attempt to appeal, from my understanding.
Yes.
And at every level, they have failed. The justice system appears to have worked the way it was intended to work. I think the White House is right to ignore this, to keep focusing on other things. If Musk wants to put this out here, he owns Twitter, he can do whatever the hell he wants. But from my perspective as a strategist, the White House needs to just ignore this.
But
Nothing
Musk
will come
is
from this.
part of the White House, and Musk is retweeting this to 319 million people. So he's putting it out there, and when Musk says things, Donald Trump listens. So what do you do about it?
I don't think the president's going to listen to this.
And should we ignore it? Because we're put in a position where, do we ignore this issue of gaslighting, of trying to incite things, and just act like it's not going to happen because there won't be nothing will come of it because he'll still be in jail? Or do we focus on it and try and make it an issue? So now you're putting us in a position to have to decide, do we want to address this?
But hold on, let's look at where it's coming from. This isn't coming from someone at the Department of Justice. This is coming from an entertainer. That's what he is, Benjamin. He's an entertainer. And look, it worked. It worked. It's a topic tonight on this #1 rated show on CNN.
Because the head of Doge.
Someone who spoke at the cabinet meeting. Who was there yesterday.
We are all driving people to go watch Ben Shapiro right now. We're all driving people. What did he say? What's going on?
Arthur,
It worked.
with all due respect, he puts these kinds of people in positions of influence. Dan Bongino is now the #2 guy.
That's your buddy.
No, not my buddy. Believe me, not my buddy. At the FBI, right? Pete Hegseth is running the DOD. I mean, these are all people who you could have said 6 months ago were the same jokers whose job was to go on TV or go on their podcast and get ratings, and now they're in positions of influence.
He's dismantled the civil rights.
Yeah, Bongino had some.
The civil rights department at the DOJ. The departments that would be in charge of investigating cases like this at a federal level have ceased to exist, basically.
And we can't ignore that the person who is now talking about DEI being a problem, dismantling things at the Department of Justice and everything else, is talking about Derek Chauvin needs to be pardoned. Those things don't happen in a vacuum. They're all coming together for a reason, and we can't ignore it.
Until the Justice Department, until the White House, or Caroline Leavitt, the president's press secretary, says the president is considering this, I think this is a nothing burger. I think we can move on. Elon Musk tweets a lot of things. Do we debate that President Trump is now considering every single tweet that Elon Musk puts out on X every single day? Absolutely not. I think we should put that in that category and keep it moving.
And not speak up and say, hey, guys, this shouldn't happen. We don't have the right, or we shouldn't
the
do
White
that.
House isn't considering this. The Justice Department isn't considering this. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think anything.
And you think it's a bad idea?
Okay,
Of course, I think it's a bad idea.
Let me throw something out here.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another video here in Stacey's Random POV. My apologies, I'm still unable to get on camera, but I still had to get over here so we can talk about what has been happening. As you guys heard, there's been a turmoil and a crazy conversation surrounding what BS, I'm not going to say his name, I'm pretty sure you guys will figure out who BS is, because he's the only person on YouTube who manages to spew and say any and all sorts of BS's out of his mouth and never get any backlash, any consequence, because he's in fact protected by a specific group, which however, this person, I don't know who paid him, or I don't know what possessed him to go online to say that Derek Chauvin, that very same Derek Chauvin that put his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes, causing for his demise, should be pardoned. And to twist the knife in the wound even worse, Elon Musk said, something to think about, causing the entire world in Twitter and on Instagram and on TikTok. A lot of people had so much things to say about this. But one thing I noticed that nobody mentioned is that this was created and stated by BS. BS was the one who said this. I don't know why people decided to twist the narrative by the time it got to TikTok that Elon Musk said this, when in fact he just kind of egged it on and cheered it on, right? And I find BS to be very problematic to black people, to brown people, and even to his own people. This is not 2015 anymore. This is not 2010 anymore. Okay, you bullies are gonna get your just due. This is 2025. People are waking up faster than you guys are giving people credit for. And it's just unfortunate, with so much going on in this world, his attention is still being driven towards hate and division. This is the same guy who did not understand why people were cheering on Luigi Mangione and not considering him a murderer or a bad person. It's like these rich people are completely out of touch with humanity, because they have spent all of their time having their ass kissed by the poor people. And that is something that we have to look in within ourselves to figure out why. Not we, because I know me and a handful of people in my circle who would not sell their soul or sell their dignity or sell themselves short for a couple of dollars. But I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Okay? Don't forget, once you subscribe, you automatically become a member of this village. And you love this village, you appreciate this village, right? But this is a disaster. It's disgusting what's happening. I hope BS gets his just due, because everything that he does and everything that he says is to otherize people. And that it's gonna come to its entire ending sooner than later. But I got the best creators who had something to say about this very same issue. I'm about to play them And I can't wait to see what you guys got to say in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, make sure you like this video. And please, please help me get to 1,000 subscribers. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for every new subscriber that I've gotten so far. I honestly appreciate it. And even while I was in my downtime, I was still uploading videos, and I felt bad that I wasn't saying much. But also let me know what you guys think about this entire panel on CNN that we're discussing this BS. Because it also seems like all of these rich people just want something from us, black people. Like, they know 92% are resting, right? If you don't know what the 92% is, it's okay. I'm resting. I'm not in the streets. I'm not making opinions about a lot of other things, just interesting topics that I bring you guys here. But I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for clicking here. See you next time. Bye.
When people say this revolution that is brewing up, right? When we say it's a revolution for Europeans, for white people to do, it's not because the rest of the global south or like black people are not and are on board about what's coming on the horizon, right? Because ultimately, the aim of your governments and your elites is to resubjugate everybody in the global south by taking down China and Russia. When we say it's your fight to do, it's because during the Black Lives Matter riot, series of incidents that happened, even though that turned out to be sort of subverted eventually by the three other agencies, right? That was the point, that was the trigger where these far right groups became very overt, right? That's when we saw the rise of the Proud Boys. That's when we saw the rise of the 3%ers. That's when we saw the rise of the Oath Keepers, right? Because Europeans and white people who enjoy the slimmest privileges under white supremacy, you have always been the weakest links, and so it's very easy to weaponize you against any true movement of the working class, against the capitalists and the oligarchs, right? Because they will come out with their drums and say, oh, these people are threatening Western civilization. Or they don't just need to pay a few podcasters and a few Twitter people and say, oh, these people are threatening Western civilization. They want to destroy everything that you've worked for, that your ancestors built, and you will turn against us. Do you understand why we say it's your fight? Because you have to show that you have skin in this game. Because if Europe is rearming now, they're going to start recruiting people. They are putting almost $1 trillion into rearming Europe. They're going to start recruiting soldiers. We are the cusp, as humanity, as a species, we are the cusp where that algorithms have done so much damage to us that they virtually control us. We're about to enter a new age where they will cement that control finally. If they weaponize you against the last pockets of freedom, by the time you've helped them destroy the real resistance, you think they're going to just allow you enjoy these fruits of that conquest? Or by the time that you've destroyed everybody who was supposed to help you, they will just put you guys into the paddock and just lock the door easily. You help them conquer your allies. This is why we say this revolution is for Europeans, it's for white people. Because if you lead the revolution, then every other person will say that you have skin in the game. We can know who started it, right? They cannot weaponize black people against you the way that they can weaponize you guys against people of the global south. Because we let somebody in an indigenous community or in a global south, a brown or black person, start this thing, and then you will see all the far right groups. This is why Trump is. Yeah, I just heard that Trump and Elon Musk are talking about releasing Derek Chauvin. They're trying to preempt the revolution, because if black people come out on the streets, they will weaponize white people against them. So they want to start the revolution that they can control, rather than the one that starts organically. This revolution is for you guys to do, because it's your sons and your fathers who will be dying in the blood fields of the global south when you people launch this, when your elites send you against us. It's your revolution to do. Nobody else is going to do it, because you are in this shit as much as the rest of us. The noose is tightening. Do you understand?
All Isengard is emptied.
How many?
10,000 strong at least.
10,000.
It is an army bred for a single purpose: to destroy the world of men. They will be here by nightfall.
Let them come.
If the wall is breached, Helm's Deep will fall.
Even if it is breached, it would take a number
I had to come back and give this remark about this piece. A lot of you are not familiarized with Lord of the Rings. This familiarity when it came to what he just said about the elites and the white people having to fight this on their own is so on it. Like, this part here of this movie and what we're going through right now, it correlates in such a deep level. I can't even explain it with words because I believe I'm not smart enough to explain it. But if you guys do, don't forget to put it in the comments, please and thank you.
Elon Musk is a white supremacist. End of story, case closed. And if you support him, so are you. You won't know who this is. That is Derek Chauvin. He unalived George Floyd back in 2020. And now Elon Musk is advocating for him to be pardoned. Yep, that's right, to have his record wiped clean and let out of prison. Musk reposted another white supremacist who said, quote, "There is a man who is rotting in prison because the media decided in the middle of 2020 that they were going to turn a tragic law enforcement stop that ended with the unaliving of a man who had significant problems." He then linked a petition asking supporters to sign a petition for Trump to act on that. Act as in overturning Chauvin's conviction. And then Elon Musk reposted that and wrote, quote, "something to think about." I can't even imagine what would happen if this were to happen.
So I saw some of y'all upset about Elon Musk's tweet regarding Derek Chauvin and how Ben Shapiro wants to get him freed and all this other stuff. And I gotta be honest with y'all, and this may piss some of y'all off, let him free him. It's all a ploy to tick us off. And honestly, it's not the first time a cop has gotten away with something in America. Let's be real. Let them have that, because it's not like he John Wick or Homelander. He ain't gonna come out of there and do what he could do back in the day. So let it happen. Who cares? Honestly, I'm more insulted by the fact that he thinks we're stupid enough to go react to it with riots and violence and all that other nonsense. Let that stuff go.
There is no way this is not rage bait. Elon borrowed RFK Jr.'s brainworm and is just letting it play with the controls like Plankton in SpongeBob. It kind of follows a logical conclusion, right? Because the right wing in America have made their entire political identity around attacking DEI and hating DEI, while at the same time implicitly associating anything to do with black people in professions or positions of power as being DEI. Essentially turning DEI into a new form of sort of dog whistle, or sort of a new slur, essentially saying, oh, you're DEI, basically making it clear that they have a problem with black people. I did not realise that Tom Fuckery went as far as a South Africa apartheid billionaire trying to advocate for the freedom of a corrupt police officer with a history of racism-based violent complaints who held his knee on the neck of a man for 8 minutes, resulting in his passing. That was found in a court of law. If anyone says anything about blood content or anything, congratulations, you're about as racist as this guy. If George Floyd was a white guy, you wouldn't be saying that, would you? And then people saying like, oh my god, why would Elon suddenly be just so crazy in favour of white racists? And it's like, this is not new. The guy comes from apartheid South Africa, and the way that his companies get sued for racism, it reflects that. This is absolutely crazy work that people aren't aware of. Like, in these lawsuits, there's allegations that Tesla management and stuff were just turning a blind eye to racist slurs and graffiti, including nooses and that one particular symbol that we don't like. It's no surprise that this guy, prompted by Benny Boy, is so eager to wiggle his jiggly Ozempic chin into the legal system and try and get this absolute monster released. And there's also people saying that he wants to do it because it will cause people to riot, and then he can use that as an excuse to get Trump to implement martial law, because all of his companies are failing and his net worth is going down at the moment. And I think he probably wants to fix that with a little bit of authoritarianism. Disgusting though. Follow.
So this guy decides to get his ass on the internet and basically slap every last black person in the face, basically. To get on the internet and say that they should pardon the man that killed George Floyd, you need your ass whooped expeditiously. And at this point, I really feel like they're trying to start a riot, because that's exactly what's going to happen. How are y'all trying to pardon somebody that legitly killed, murdered someone in front of other people?
I want to play a clip of Ben Shapiro, your namesake, talking about Derek Chauvin, the cop who's doing life for murdering George Floyd. Let's take a look at what Ben said.
If we are issuing pardons, however, there is one person that President Trump should pardon from federal charges forthwith. It would be incredibly controversial, but I think that it's absolutely necessary. That person is Derek Chauvin. President Trump should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin. He should. He should pardon him his federal charges.
What's your response to that, Brian?
Absolutely and utterly absurd. First of all, we know that Derek Chauvin is a murderer. He's a convicted murderer. And Michael likes to talk about autopsies. Let's talk about autopsies. There were 2 autopsies in that case. Both found that he didn't die of natural causes or drugs. He died because of Derek Chauvin's knee on his neck for 8 minutes when he was on his stomach and his hands were behind his back in handcuffs. Ben Shapiro is a moron. Derek Chauvin is a murderer. And he, in my opinion, Chauvin should, the rest of his life, he should be behind bars. For Ben Shapiro, who is one of the biggest right head talking points for you guys, to say that Derek Chauvin deserves a pardon is absolutely and utterly absurd. And I wonder if George Floyd was white and Derek Chauvin was black and the exact same thing happened, I wonder if Ben Shapiro would be saying the same thing about Derek Chauvin. Obviously, the answer is no.
Okay, Michael, I want to read, hang on, everyone. I want to read, Michael, that in his letter to President Trump, Ben Shapiro wrote, "The massive overt pressure on the jury to return a guilty verdict, regardless of the evidence or any semblance of impartial deliberation." He said, noting that even elected lawmakers prejudged the outcome of the trial and took to national media to create pressure on the jury to go along with their preferred narrative. So, Ben, they're arguing that if it hadn't been for the global outcry over the video clip, which we all saw, which, by the way, I thought was shocking and outrageous, and I personally don't agree with Ben that Chauvin should get a pardon. But it's an interesting argument that he's making here. What do you think of it?
Well, it pains me to say anything nice about my friend Ben Shapiro, but I do think that he is totally spot on here. One also has to remember that there are state charges and federal charges here. The federal charge is just a civil rights charge. And I don't think there's any evidence that Derek Chauvin violated George Floyd's civil rights. I mean, to the point that Brian just made, he brought up the medical examiner's report, the autopsies. I guess the question, I think we're aware, my dear, the question is, how much fentanyl was in George Floyd's system? Since you read the report,
Not why he died.
Was in
Okay, so let me ask you.
Hold on, just a simple question.
Let me ask you a
Do you
question.
have the answer to the question?
Okay.
Was it significantly
I understand that there was fentanyl in his system, but that wasn't the cause of death, Michael.
Was it like
that wasn't the cause of death?
legal limit? Or the lethal
What was the
limit?
cause of death, Michael?
So now they're trying to freak people out by saying, "Oh, we're gonna pardon Derek Chauvin." He did have some federal charges, but his murder conviction, the big one, state charge. And state governor would have to pardon him, and I don't think Tim Walz is going to do that. So don't worry. Don't stress out about it. He's not getting pardoned by the feds. And even if he did, it wouldn't make any difference in his conviction. So sleep soundly tonight that he's not getting out of jail.
So while everyone is sitting on the address to Congress, waiting for that to happen, Ben Shapiro has put forth an effort urging for Donald J. Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin. If you don't remember that name, that is the officer involved in George Floyd. That's the latest. Bye.
This is for my white people. If you are in support of David Chauvin getting out of jail, prison, whatever you want to call it, lock up, this is the reason why we don't fool with y'all. This is the reason why. Of course, me being me, I've researched it, and he can't get out. He can't get out. It's a state charge. But with the person that we're dealing with, it's a possibility. But I want to say to you guys, this is the reason why we don't fool with y'all. If you're ever wondering, this is why. Because y'all be in support of the silliest, craziest, weirdest, low down, trifling things. You never in support of the real. You would rather for a convicted cop that killed another human being for no reason other than that's what he wanted to do. You would rather be in support of that guy than the real. And this is why we don't fool with y'all. I just thought I'd wake up this morning and let y'all know that. If you're ever wondering, I need you to put this in your brain and lock it. This is why.
And just a reminder, they can let out whoever they want to let out of jail. They let out the January 6 guys who tried to kill all the senators and really was going for Pelosi really bad. Not to mention the fact that they actually wind up beating the shit out of her husband and damn near killing him. But I digress. So they're letting out the George Floyd, or it's being said that they want to let out the George Floyd police officer that put his knee on his neck and eventually, ultimately killed George Floyd. It's no bait for us, for the black people. We're not coming out. Ben Shapiro, why don't you worry about you not having anything to say about people throwing up Nazi signs? Don't try to get the black people to come out and then while we're out, you think we're going to still protest for you. We're done. Okay, no one's scared to talk about how fucked up that the Jewish people are right now. So no, we're not coming out. Okay?
Elon Musk trying to start a race war. Oh man, y'all know what to do to his products. Y'all know what to do. Make his stock go down. Make him lose money. And that's through this, man. Hey.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say that 2025 is in full effect. Everything they said they're going to do is being done. It's just one thing that he has not accomplished or is not on schedule to be accomplished. Black people. Black people. We have not gotten out and protest because he expected it. We have not gotten out and did anything that he was told or expected us to do. Good job. Good job. Pat yourself on the back. Staying in the house, mind your business. But what he is doing now is rage baiting. Him and Elon Musk. They're rage baiting us into acting. Talking about freeing Derek Chauvin. Free him. Free him. Zimmerman's still walking around. Free him. And we're not going to do nothing about it but continue to learn our line dances with our fans. You're not going to bait us into the street to kill us on camera and to have martial law. You're not going to do that. We are staying home. I don't care who you let out. Y'all all felons. So what the hell? Like, black people and allies, stay in the house and continue to mind your business. If he let them out, let them out.
Conservative podcaster Ben Shapiro, excuse me, is appealing to President Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin, who you remember actually killed George Floyd. I'm not a betting woman, but how much you want to bet? That's exactly what he does. He's going to pardon George Floyd. How much you want to bet? I got 20. How much you want to bet?
Y'all, this is crazy. Elon Musk says that this is something to think about. George Floyd killer possibly getting out of jail. That is nothing we need to be thinking about. We have bigger fish to fry. We have bigger things going on in this economy. This economy is slowly but surely going down. Elon Musk, you are not the president of the United States. Why is the world being ran by the rich instead of being ran by a regular president? This is crazy. This is crazy.
This is a PSA. I just want to say that this guy is not getting out of jail. I repeat, he is not getting out of jail. So please do not fall for the okie doke. This man has state charges on him, and he will not get pardoned by the governor. Okay? Because all Donald Trump can do is pardon him on a federal crime, but he cannot pardon him on a state crime level. You want to know why he won't get pardoned? Because the governor of Minnesota is Because the governor is Tim Walz. Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota, okay? And he is the man that appointed a special prosecutor to take over the case, which allowed them to press the charges, and which he is in jail for, okay? Derek ain't getting out, boo. Don't fall for it. Don't listen to Elon. Don't listen to none of these conservative people on these apps saying, oh, he gonna get out, because he is not getting out. As long as this man governor, he is not getting out. And any governor after that probably will not pardon him. So Elon don't even know how this country run.